La Pucelle may be an older, obscure game with some dated systems, but damn it, every JRPG fan should know about it and play it at least once.
Yes, sir?
Originally released under the title La Pucelle Tactics in 2002 for the PlayStation 2, La Pucelle was a gaming gem that I don't think many people knew about even within the niche NIS community. I know I didn't. Luckily for me, I happened to spot this game at a local FYE brick and mortar store, which is kind of like a Hot Topic without the emo for those who don't know. So I bought the game, came home, excitedly booted up my PS2, plopped in the disc, and got immersed into a new world full of demons and maidens. I loved this game. So much so that I spent hundreds of hours replaying the first 2 maps to power level my team just so I could recruit all the bosses and have them all at the end like some kind of elite trophy. And this was before animation skips and combat speed increases, so areas took even more time to finish. That's why when La Pucelle Ragnarok's inevitable PC and Switch release was announced in NIS's 3rd Classic Collection, I was filled with joy. Well, as much joy as someone who also realized they would be working overtime to pump out a bunch of videos would feel. Anyway, Ragnarok's release was originally limited to Japan, which meant that Western players like myself would have never had the opportunity to play the improved version outside of a fan-translated ROM. Now it's possible for newbies to come and officially experience firsthand the story of the girl they would likely know as the destructive, power-hungry demon overlord from all the Disgaea games. The funny thing is, Overlord Priere was only a joke ending in the original game, where she accidentally became this feared being from defeating too many powerful demons in the Netherworld. It wasn't until Ragnarok that they actually expanded on this and created an Overlord path that could be played through, giving even more insight into the fall of our beloved heroine. The normal story is more straightforward and a bit touching really. Priere lost her parents at a young age and would later join the Church of the Holy Maiden. Here she works hard towards becoming the Maiden of Light, the prophesied savior who appears when darkness returns to the world. It's a simple and perhaps overly common premise, but the plot points cover all the necessary things to create something that's engaging. Priere is a good and well-rounded character that was easy to like from the start. She can be seen as a violent demon to people who may not know who she is, but she has the heart of gold. Despite being an exceptionally powerful protagonist, she's far from being perfect. Her short-sightedness and inexperience can cause problems for the group, which often leads to Alouette, a fellow sister, to correct her. Of course, this also causes tension between the two, but it's seeing situations like these develop that keep me going. Priere's journey is a pretty linear one, so there is only one ending to see, at least outside of the Overlord route, which has 4. That said, each of the 12 chapters can have multiple endings, a good, bad, or normal one. Some even have a special ending if certain requirements are met. This is actually something I took for granted when I played originally, since they had no effect on the actual outcome of the story. Because of this, it seemed pointless to go for anything other than the good one, since it was where all the loot was at. After all, the difference in how each chapter played out was pretty minuscule. It wasn't until my recent playthrough that I really came to appreciate how such a little thing can add that extra bit of flavor to the experience, especially considering that JRPGs at the time were extremely linear with little choice, if at all. I came to appreciate the different little details in the dialogue and events had I done things another way. While the story and characters were pretty good, the gameplay was ultimately what had me hooked. As frequent viewers of the channel may know, I like being powerful in games. Having the ability to create needlessly strong characters and decimating enemies is one of the appeals of the Disgaea series. Likewise, La Pucelle feeds that same obsession I have for netherworld domination, but in a more refreshing way. I find its progression system to be much more fun, though it might just be because I've played the hell out of Disgaea and I'm burnt out on blissing the item world and doing reincarnations. La Pucelle still has that huge grind, but it's actually something I enjoy doing. Fusions is a huge part of gear progression and requires the sacrifice of a monster in order to combine items together. This process is pretty intricate with a lot of rules to take into account, so I find it to be very engaging. I needed to make sure the weapons I would fuse had the stats I wanted and level them appropriately. After seeing how this whole thing works, it's easy to see how NIS moved on to replace it with the simpler and more efficient Innocent system, but it's because of this difference that makes item fusion feel like something fresh. La Pucelle's uniqueness really shines in the way that it handles item level ups. By purifying dark portals, a character's equipped items will gain experience. In addition, energy will be released along the stream coming out of the portal, and if the stream encloses a space with a perimeter of at least 15, a miracle occurs. Performing miracle chains is where the money, EXP, and most importantly, fun is really at. These things aren't too different from geopanels found in Disgaea, but setting them up for the biggest combos does require some work due to the randomized locations of the portals, and the fact that the inner portal streams also needs to connect to the larger stream to keep it going. Creating the longest combo was never something I got tired of. Each time I entered the map, I would look around to see how I could create the most lengthy path imaginable that snaked around every corner using the limited resources that I had without screwing myself over. I think it actually became more enjoyable once I got the warp engine, which made it easier and quicker to set up combos. The most satisfying part was seeing the counter increase as the screen moves around the absurd maze I created. It's like knocking over a domino set you spent so long setting up, and definitely beats mindlessly blitzing item world levels any day. I'm still working on creating a weapon and character powerful enough to take on the legendary super boss Bao, whose base level is at 2000. It's been quite the journey, and I still have a long way to go before I can defeat this guy and his final form, but I know this grind is not something I will get tired of anytime soon. I just love this gameplay so much that I want to keep going until I've conquered all La Pucelle has to offer, and create a buttload of powerful characters along the way. I only wish there were trophies for the Switch so I can feel more validation and show off my accomplishments. But anyway, I digress. I just wanted to say that this game is great, so give it a chance. And if you're still not convinced, well, Prier has a few choice words for you.
光の聖女の名のもとに悔い改めなさい。